They're not meant for. They said I was leaving too soon. They said for you. But every step leads me closer to the light I always knew. I'm walking a path unknown, but I know I'm not alone. So I'm searching for the truth in the dark, where the silence speaks to my heart. Why are the words so hard to grasp? Maybe they're not meant for. But silence speaks to my heart. They said I was leaving too soon. They said I was leaving for you. But every step leads me closer to the light I always knew. I'm walking a path unknown.
Hi everybody,
I'm not alone.
who's here today?
So I'm searching for the truth in the dark, where the silence speaks to my heart. Why are the hard to grasp? Maybe they're not meant for me. But silence speaks to my heart. They said I was leaving too soon. They said I was.
Hi there everybody, welcome to the live stream. I'm setting up stuff here as usual. It's been a while, like always, it's been a while since I last did a live stream. Feel free to leave a comment here in the chat if you're new or old here to my channel. So the plan here today was to do a little bit of Bitwig deep dive, namely taking a look at the PHASE-4 synth and teaching a little bit of FM synthesis or phase modulation synthesis. Let's see if all the audio is okay. Can everybody hear me in the ether? So in the intro here, I was just playing a little bit from a new track I'm working on called "Speak to My Heart," and it actually began while I was working on some new presets for the Vital synth. As you probably know, if you follow my channel, I have a preset pack called the Omega Vital synth presets, and yeah, I was making some new presets for that pack, and as usual, when you find some great sounds while you're working on sound design, one thing led to the other, and I instantly had this little song sketch going. So that's pretty rad when you're working on some just some new sound design. Vinterskog, hi there, welcome. I can't recall if I've seen you in a live stream before. Are you new to my channel? Anyways, regarding the Vital presets, the new Vital presets here that I'm working on, they will end up in the Omega presets pack here. quite soon, but you will know all about that if you follow my YouTube channel here. So if you're new, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of this on the news. Right, so that's that. Righty. So there's some vocals in here. It's been a while since I've been singing on my tracks, so it was a fun little change here to jump in and do some vocals. But it feels fresh, and but I need to practice a little bit more. You can't just jump in and sing this type of songs without some practice. Yeah, so let's just take a listen to this while we wait for some more people to jump in, and then we will do start doing some PHASE-4 deep dive. How's that? And again, please let me know in the chat here. Just say hi or something.
They said I was leaving too soon. They said I was leaving for you. But every step leads me closer to the light I always knew. I'm walking a path unknown, but I know I'm not alone. So I'm searching for the truth in the dark, where the silence speaks to my heart. Why are the words so hard to grasp? Maybe they're not meant for me, but silence speaks to my heart.
Right, so that's the little song sketch, and why I came up with this idea to do a PHASE-4, little PHASE-4 video, is because I had this little melody going. I found one of these, found some random preset here in the Omnisphere package called Dolby's Guitarette. And while I like this sound, it felt a little bit dull and lacked some that extra high end. Denise Lang, welcome to the channel. Thank you very much. Yeah, so this Dolby's Guitarette from Omnisphere. I will play you this preset. Sounds like this. Maybe we can expand this so we can. Let's just do like this, so we can see some notes. Very short notes. So you can hear there's like this, the bell tone, and then you also have this crisp transient high end. And transients are extremely important in sounds. Just to take the difference between a guitar and a piano, for example. If you get rid of the transient from both those samples, the guitar and the piano, they will almost sound like the same sample. And the same with the kalimbas, etc. If you take away that important transient, the sound starts to sound more like the same type of sound, almost like a triangle waveform. But I felt that this sound was a little bit dull. I wanted it to be more crisp and have a more high end, and that's when you can go for FM synthesis or phase modulation synthesis, which you can do in PHASE-4. And it's like a hidden little secret in Bitwig. It's a little bit hard to get a grasp around especially if you're new to FM synthesis. But with today's video, I hope you to clarify a little bit around phase modulation synthesis. So that's the original sound. And then we have my phase PHASE-4 replication of the sound, so to speak, but with some adjustments that I felt necessary to make it pop a little bit more. So that's my version and the Omnisphere variation. So you can hear it's much more like of a dull clock or a bell sound, and it gets hidden a little bit in the mix. So I wanted more like crisp high end, just a little bit more, not too much, because we don't want this sound to take over the mix, because it's still gonna be a little bit of a background sound behind the vocals. Denise Lang, thank you for purchasing the Vital Omega presets pack. If you bought it through my web store, you're probably going to get a notice when the new version is released. And if you don't get that notice, you can just pop me an email with the order number, and I will make sure that you get the latest version. But usually the store takes care of the updates, because there's like a button when you upload new files to an already existing product, that you can send emails to existing customers, existing clients. Right, so that's one type of sound that we can do with FM synthesis, this bell sound. Now I've reduced the volume here quite drastically, because I wanted to place this more in the background, but we can increase it just for the sake of listening to the sound here. Yeah, you can do a lot of like D&B basses. That famous Skrillex growl is a typical, very easy thing to get rolling in a phase modulation synthesizer. And we're going to look at one of those types of sounds here in the video too. But I usually don't feel that like the presets that's pre-made for PHASE-4 are especially interesting. Not typically for my music. I like to mold the sounds to fit the piece, rather than jumping through presets to find the suitable sound, because it usually takes it's going to take me more time to find the exact sound that I have in my head. And that's a great thing about learning an FM synth like this, that you can mold and match the sound. But it's still gonna be like times when you get totally lost and end up with a gibberish sound. Okay, so let's get going. Yeah, we can listen to this dubstep sound. It's also the PHASE-4 synth here. It's the sound that you hear in the chorus. So typical growl sound, growl bass. So I have another bass from Trillion or Omnisphere here on the chorus, but it's replaced with that growl bass on a few occasions, if we listen to just the bass and the dubstep bass here. So I'm gonna mix and match this a little bit better in the end. This is a song sketch. By all means, this is not a finished song for all of those, for those of you listening to this. But if we listen to this in context, it sounds kind of cool.
For the truth, when the dark, when silence speaks to my heart. Why are the words so hard to grasp? Maybe they're not meant for me, but silence speaks to my heart.
Right, so let's dig into the PHASE-4 synth, shall we? So we're gonna create just a new instrument track and toss up PHASE-4. Yeah, I also have some other news here to share in the live stream here today, but we're gonna wait a little while after this PHASE-4 tutorial, and I'm gonna drop the bombs. The bombs. So by default, I think we have like a square wave, the sawtooth saw wave in one of the oscillators in PHASE-4. Now I need to do a little bit of setup here on the actual track in Bitwig Studio, because I have the Osmos keyboard, and it has multiple MIDI ports. So when I press a key here, it actually sends and receives on all these ports in Bitwig Studio. So I need to change this to receive only port 1 MIDI, because we don't want the duplications of the MIDI. Yeah, so I've changed the default setting here a little bit in the PHASE-4 synth, but basically I usually started with all the oscillators. The red, the blue, the yellow, and the purple here. These are your sound generators in the PHASE-4 synth. And like with all FM synthesis or phase modulation synths, we can mix and match these and apply one oscillator waveform onto another. And that's how we get the phase modulation. But I like to set the first one here, the red one, also to be a sine wave. That's where we change the waveform type. And you should also expand this device view so you can see all the different waveforms in the PHASE-4 synth when we press a key. So we can see the yellow waveform, we can see the blue one, red, blue, yellow, and the purple one. So if we play a C3, we get to see the oscillation of the waveforms. And we can see that this one is going, that's basically the sound waves. And we can see that the blue one is going a little bit slower. That means that it's lower in pitch. And you can firstly control the different ratios on each of these oscillators to control basically the pitch of the oscillator. And currently we're only listening to the red one because we have the volume. This is the volume knob for the oscillators. We have the red one set here to 0 dB. That means that we have full volume from the red sound generator. And all the other generators have their volume to infinitely low. So we're only listening to the red one. And if we want to listen to the blue one, we can increase the volume here. And as you can hear, we get a lower note from the blue oscillator. And how about the yellow one? Yeah, as you can see, it's shorter, more narrow waves. That means that it's a higher frequency. So let's listen to the yellow oscillator. Indeed, it's a higher frequency. And then the purple one is an even higher frequency. And you can see that also here on the ratio setting. It's 4:1, the yellow one is 2:1, and the blue one is 1:2. And the ratio of the first is 1:1. That means that it will follow the exact key that we press on the keyboard, because we also have this key tracking activated for all the different oscillators. So let's listen to the purple one. So that's a really high frequency. So already there, that's one way of creating a pad. It's just to add like LFOs or modulators to move the volumes between. But this is not phase modulation or phase synthesis, because we're just activating the volumes of the different oscillators. How we do a phase modulation in PHASE-4 is that we need to reduce, first for this type of sound that we're gonna create now, we're gonna reduce the volumes of all the oscillators except our carrier. And this is called the carrier because this is the audible oscillator, or audible sound generator, the red one. And as I said, we can control the ratio and increase or decrease the pitch by octaves. And some other and we can also change the pitch of the oscillator by changing this pitch offset, because sometimes you want to use other values than just the pure ratios of the oscillator. Maybe we want to increase it to 6 semitones up. But let's keep our original carrier source sound generator to be the exact pitch that we play on the keyboard. So we set the pitch offset at 0 and the ratio to 1:1. Now if we want to phase modulate this oscillator and apply another sound generator upon this the carrier, we will send a modulator to modulate our carrier. And we can do that by using these modulation amount buttons, knobs. And now we can hear we're starting to get some weird sounds happening. It's almost a dubstep bass, but it's a little bit too mellow and not as like upfront as you probably want from a dubstep bass. This is more like a pad kind of soft sound that we get. So as always with things in Bitwig, we can modulate that, and we can either use like the frequency, the filter envelope or the amplitude envelope, but of course we want to use one of the modulator slots instead. So we press the plus sign there and maybe add just a classic LFO. And we're going to attach that to the modulation amount, the blue amount. And we also need to deactivate the bipolarity, because you can see that it's only half of the waveform. It's going upwards and then it's going to the minus side, which is not visible here. So we can get rid of the bipolarity and only go from 0% and upwards. And if you add some values like this, some modulation values like this, and you suddenly don't want to have it as profound, you can always use the amount here to control the amount of modulation that the LFO applies to your target. Today we have a quick, soft FM pad, a dreamy little pad. Now we could just add some effects and go home. But we won't, of course, we won't stop there. We need to make it more interesting. And one thing you can do is use this frequency offset. It's currently set to 0 Hertz. So it's going to be the same hertz, and you can see we only have that modulation from the LFO applied to the modulation amount for the blue oscillator modulating our red carrier. But we can introduce a little bit of frequency offset here, And if you're listening to headphones, you're probably gonna hear we're starting to get some stereo effect. So there, quite a nice little pad sound. Maybe just increase the attack and the release. And of course we need to go ahead here and make it a full patch. Let's just add some delay. And we're gonna make it a ping pong. Maybe increase the high frequency a little bit on the equalizer for the delay and a little bit more feedback, of course. Let's just check the volume here. Yeah, so we can control the movement in the stereo field with this hertz value. And as you can see, if we keep it pretty low, we get just this slow, soft movement in the stereo field. But as we increase that frequency offset, you're gonna hear more panning, so to speak, with the oscillation. Until it gets into audio rate modulation. We start to get this like a metallic sound. But we want to keep it fairly low to just get a little bit of stereo effect on the pad. Right, so how about if we want to make the sound more upfront, because it's very soft pad sound. Let's decrease the attack. What we can do is either change the ratio here on the second oscillator, our modulator, which is modulating the frequency, the phase of the red oscillator. If we change the ratio, listen here. Cute little dreamy sound. Can be fun. And the higher we increase the ratio, the more we're gonna get into the metallic territory of sounds. Until we get very nasty sounds. And as I mentioned before, it's always good to have this this expanded view open so we can see how we affect the original waveform. So if we want to create a bell type of sound, it could be good to use a ratio of around 6:1. But we're gonna remove the LFO controlling that modulation. We're gonna change it to an ADSR, or maybe use one of the more recent segments devices. So we're just gonna delete that one and add, maybe let's use the segments. And we're gonna expand the view for the segments and make it non-loopable, because we have a few different ways that this envelope will behave. The segments is basically an envelope, like your amplitude envelope, but you have more control since you have the nodes, so you can control how the envelope behaves. And we're going to create a snappy attack, so a very fast transient, and then we're going to go pretty quickly here down into a lower data value. So let's try to apply that to our modulation here. So click the learn button here, or the mapping, and apply that to the BR modulation amount. And suddenly we have more of a bell sound rather than the pad sound. And if we decrease the ratio of that blue oscillator modulating our red oscillator, we get more of a woody sound, a woody woodpecker sound. Also a quite sweet little sound. And how we create this envelope will heavily affect what kind of sound we get from the phase modulation. Right, so how about if we want to get like more of a snappy attack on this sound, like that crispy sound that you get from like a kalimba or something, because this sounds like a more of a like a cotton soft sound. Denise Lang, I think that the latest version is 1.5 of the Omega Vital presets pack. So it will probably 1.6 when I release the new version with the new presets. Right, so we want to create more of like a crisp high end to this sound. And we have two oscillators, two sound generators here that we haven't used in the sound yet. So we have plenty of possibilities here to add another sound generator and mold that into like a noise kind of sound. So so we can bump the volume here for the yellow sound generator, but we're going to change that to more of a noisy sound. So what we can do is modulate this oscillator with itself, which will create a really nasty things. So let's listen here. We can actually get rid of a little bit of the red oscillator in volume. So it's maybe all the way down. So we only listen to the yellow oscillator. So let's increase the yellow modulation to the yellow oscillator. Hear that? So a totally different type of sound. And then if we increase the modulation depth here, we're also, or the modulation amount, we're also going to get like almost pure noise in the end. So we could use this as the snappy part or that crisp part of our sound. But we don't want it to be like this sustained sound. We just want that little snap, that very short transient from this noise. And how do we do that? Well, we can add another ADSR or segments modulator to modulate the volume of the yellow oscillator extremely quickly. So let's try the segments again here, because the fun of it. I think there's also an ADSR type of curve already that we could use as our starting point, which is good. So how do you guys like the new segments and curves and all these new M-seg type of modulators in Bitwig? Do you find them useful? And now we can apply that to the volume of the yellow oscillator. But we want it to be snappy, so make it a really, really fast attack. And go down pretty quickly like this. And we're going to get rid of the looping, because we don't want a looping envelope. So there we have a snap. And if we apply our original sound from the red oscillator, we have more of like a kalimba sound. And if you feel that it's too high volume in that snap, we can always just lower the modulation amount. And there's actually a trick to faster find or a trick. You could always click the device like this, and here we can see in the inspector panel, we can see all the modulations that's going on here, and we can see that segments 2 is modulating the Y mix, the yellow oscillator mix value. So we could just reduce the volume here if we want less of that snap. So that's how we create this snap. And if you want to have a more metallic flavor, you can of course fiddle with the ratio settings or the hertz value for the frequency. Okay, so again, let's make this more of a bell sound, because now it's like a woody kalimba sound. Sounds like some kind of Enya Enya patch. So what we can do now is change the ratio of the blue oscillator to get back into our like metallic kind of territory. And we can also use the pitch offset. So let's set this to 6 semitones. Let's listen to the original Omnisphere sound. So it's pretty close, and we created that with just one instance of the PHASE-4 synth. It's another type of delay, of course, on that one, but it's pretty close. So that's how you go about if you want to create this type of bell sounds. And we can make it more metallic. And now we also get the sound more upfront and more in your face. So depending on where we want to place this type of sound in our mix, we can make it either more metallic or more dull, if you just lower the ratio here. So it's a really simple patch, actually really simple to set up here in the PHASE-4 synth, and extremely easy to control if you want to make it more dull or more like high-end. So you don't have to dig into any equalizers or stuff to increase or decrease or mix this for the track. We can just mix and match everything in the PHASE-4 synth. Let's try fiddling with the segments a little bit. Yeah, so this is still set to looping, and it's actually quite an interesting sound. We get a little bit of texture happening, so if we would go ahead and add some reverb after the delay, maybe some Valhalla Room, the usual suspects. What do you think about that sound? Personally, I think that's a beautiful, lush bell sound that we could definitely use in some tracks. So we're gonna save this little patch. And if you don't want to replicate this, I can probably toss this up as a downloadable preset on the Discord channel. Just let me know here in the chat if you want this preset. Right, so that's the bell type of sounds with the PHASE-4 synth. Now let's create a little bit of a Skrillex bass. So we're gonna name this Beauty Bell. And let's just press Command D and duplicate this track with. So we get all the effects and stuff, but we can bypass the effects to begin with. How's the syncing here today between the image and me talking here and the audio? I did a little bit of fiddling with the settings here before the live stream. Oh, and as always, don't forget to leave a like, write some comments on my videos, and yeah, I appreciate all the support and help here with the channel. Because visibility on YouTube, as you probably know, is extremely hard. Extremely hard to get some traction going. Right, so we're gonna reset the PHASE-4 synth. Right click and select device default, load default preset. And your settings in your Bitwig installation might differ a little bit here. As I mentioned earlier, I might have changed the first oscillator to sine. So that's the basic raw core sound. As we talked about before, we have a sine wave on all these oscillators at different ratios. So we have different note values basically. Some of these are higher and the blue one is a little bit lower. Right, so what we can do here if we want to create a dubstep bass is that we want to have a little bit more interesting waveform modulating our carrier or modulating our red waveform. And what we can do here is make some modulation to the blue waveform so it gets a little bit more like naggy and turns into another type of waveform. So what we can do here is we're gonna get rid of the red oscillator and only listen to the blue oscillators. We increase the volume here for the blue one. And we're gonna modulate this one with the yellow oscillator. And increase the ratio of the yellow oscillator. Maybe also a little bit of frequency offset here, so we get a little bit of movement. Let's make it a little bit naggy like that. So now if we apply this blue waveform, which is this like naggy waveform, upon the red one, we're going to get a totally different sound compared to if we just modulate with the pure sine wave. So let's reduce the volume of the blue one here and bump the red volume again, so we only listen and only have the red oscillator audible. So let's bump the modulation from the blue oscillator, the phase modulation. And there we have the famous dubstep bass. And yeah, you saw there how quickly this is to set up. You just modulate the blue oscillator with the yellow oscillator at a higher rate. And then we modulate the red one with the blue oscillator. And to summarize, we only have the red oscillator audible in this scenario. So what you do now is you might attach either some modulator to modulate the modulation amount of the red one here, or you attach the mod wheel to control that, and we can do that. And by default it's set to vibrato, so we're going to get rid of the vibrato. And we're going to look at the MIDI CCs, MIDI B, and CC1, and attach that to control the blue oscillator. And of course you can also make that more harsh if you just make some adjustments. Maybe modulate the yellow one a little bit with itself. And of course, if you want other type of like more, even more metallic bass sounds, you can just change the waveform type. So that's basically all to it if you want to create dubstep basses with the PHASE-4 synth. So you can see it's not that complicated. And yeah, if you have any questions, just shoot them here in the chat. Just add some reverb on that. A little bit. Yeah. I don't typically add too much of these type of sounds in my own music, but as you saw there in this little new track that I'm making, I just have a little bit of a tasty additions in the chorus.
But I know I'm not alone. So I'm searching for the truth in the dark. Where the silence speaks to my heart. Why are the words so hard to grasp? Maybe they're not meant for me. But silence speaks to my heart.
Yeah, so that's it for the PHASE-4 deep dive. Yeah, as I mentioned, I have some new Vital presets going on, which will be dropped in an update for the Omega Vital presets pack, and this is one of the presets. We can just solo this one and take a listen. I do a lot of high pass and low pass on this sound because all in all it's a pretty full patch. So yeah, that's usually what happens when you add vocals to tracks. You really need to be careful about the frequencies and make the sounds, each of the sounds sit in their pocket, so to speak. Let's just take a listen to that sound with its full capacity, so to speak.
Too hard to grasp. Maybe they're not meant for me. But silence speaks to my heart.
So you can hear how much a difference that does to the sound when I mute this equalizer that I have on the Vital Synth, which is this really a massive patch on the chorus. Thank you, Denise. Glad you enjoyed the track. I hope to finish and wrap up this track within a few weeks, but at the moment there's a lot of production on this new course I'm making, this music theory for beginners course. And I hope to drop that course in early access very soon. It's going to be around 69 or 79 euros as the early access price, and the price will successively increase towards as we add more episodes, and will probably land around 189 euros or something when the course is finished. So it's going to be a course for beginners, music theory. We're going to talk about you're going to learn like sheet music at the same time as we're going to work in piano rolls, of course, because not everybody works in a DAW which has sheet music, like Logic Pro, for example. Many of you, I guess, work in Bitwig or Ableton and stuff, and don't care about the music notation and sheet music. But I feel it's important, especially to add that to a music theory course. So there's been a lot of a request for that type of course. I've seen that in my education platform, Morning New Media Education. There's a lot of people asking for a music theory course. Right, so again, yeah, I'm jumping between concepts here, but that's what happens in live streams, especially if it's been a while. We have a lot to talk about. But yeah, we're going to play this pad, and I'm going to mute and unmute the equalizer so you can hear how much big difference, because if we don't have this equalizer, the pad will massively cover the vocals. And in a track with vocals, at least I want to have the vocals as like the most forward, the most prominent instrument, because it's so important to the song. So I usually keep the other sounds in check with equalizers. So let's just take a listen here and listen how the equalizer affects this pumping pad, so to speak.
Searching for the truth in the dark, where the silence speaks to my heart. Why are the words so hard to grasp? Maybe they're not meant for me, but silence speaks to my heart.
Yeah, so I think that that's a wrap for today. Before we close down, let me know in the chat here if you have any questions or if you have any requests for what types of new videos I should do here on the channel. I am gonna do a little bit more Bitwig related stuff here on a few episodes, because there's a lot of requests for that, and yeah. So I hope you had a nice time, and that you go and explore the PHASE-4 synth, because there are a lot of different sounds that you can get out of this. Not just the dubstep basses and bells, but these kind of woody textures. And I know it can be a lot fun to work with a wavetable synths like a polymer, etc. But it's another way of getting control and gaining control over your sound, working with additive synthesis with phase modulation. can be refreshing from time to time to get some different kind of perspectives and sounds into your music. Yeah, so again, thanks for joining today. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up here on the video if you like my material and my work here on YouTube, and comment on all my videos that you watch, because I read all my comments, I respond to all the comments, and yeah, I try to respond to user requests too. We did some shorts or some videos some week back on some user-related questions regarding LUFS and loudness, for example. I'm planning doing a more like full in-depth video talking about loudness and how to achieve loudness in your mixes and what types of loudness you should go for. Mixing and EQing. You're welcome, Winterskog. Yeah, we can focus a little bit more on like mixing and EQing. We did a little bit of that here today, but I feel that we should probably make something more from scratch. But the thing with mixing and EQing, every song is different, and of course there's like some general rules that you can go for, but generally I try to think of the sounds in a track more from like an arranging perspective, and if things start to get too crowded, that's just how it is. It's too crowded, and then I usually just reduce and remove sounds or replace the sounds. But as you can see in this track, we have this like the major sound, this vital pumping pad, which is throughout the whole like verse and chorus. And then it's just some additional sounds. We have a pad, I think, to emphasize a little bit of that pulse. And then that's a bell sound. A simple drum loop from the Bitwig core sounds. So that's like all there is to the verse in this track. So it's not a lot of like mixing and EQing for this type of track. But then again, this is like a vocal track. So when you have vocals in your track, of course you're gonna leave a lot of space, because you don't want it to be too crowded. And here, when we have space between the vocal lines, I'm adding like another type of question response type of thing here with another like saturated vocal.
They said I was leaving too soon. They said I was leaving for you. But every step leads me closer to the light I always knew. I'm walking a path I know, but I know I'm not alone. So I'm searching for the truth in the dark, where the silence speaks to my heart. Why are the words so hard to grasp? Maybe they're not meant for me, but silence speaks to my heart.
Right, so that's all for today. Thanks you for tuning in to my channel and live stream. Don't forget to check out my courses if you're interested in learning Bitwig Studio or learning Logic Pro or learning about arranging. I also have 2 ambient courses if you're interested to making more of like ambient music. So if you're interested in learning any type of music production, you can go to my edu.morningdewmedia.com or store.morningdewmedia.com, which will take you to the courses. Yeah, so thanks again. See you in the next video or the next live stream or wherever we end up. Thank you and bye.